signal whenever we're connected. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this special council meeting tonight for the month of September 2021, September the 20th. We will, our first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Moved by Councillor Ramsey and seconded by Councillor Snow. All in favor? Aye. Contrary nay? Motion carried. Any conflicts of interest to be mentioned? I do not see any lights on. Is there a motion to approve the monthly council meeting minutes of August 16, 2021 and the approval of the special council meeting minutes of September 7, 2021 and September 13, 2021? Moved by Deputy Mayor McColman and seconded by Councillor McDougall. Any questions on the minutes? All in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary nay? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, this is a very special ceremony here tonight at the beginning. We're honoring the late Coke Grady. Every year for many years, our annual report is dedicated in memory of somebody who's made a great contribution to our community and an all-around great citizen. And we all miss Coke, and he passed away this past spring. I've known Coke for a long time, as everybody in here has. He's been a great athlete for many years, an official, an employee, and an all-around great person. And he's missed by everyone. But he made a great contribution to the sporting sector when he was young, and even after he retired from his playing days. He officiated, participated as an official, and whether it was a hockey referee or an umpire in the sports, and so we're very honored to have this annual report in memory and honor of, we say, Coke. He was a great person, and so I'd call upon Mrs. Grady and the family members if they wanted to come up. Your daughters are coming up, or yourself. We'd like to make a presentation. And I'll call upon maybe the Deputy Mayor to assist, and the Chair of Recreation. I'll get my mask on here. We'll read this into the minutes too, but would you like to say a couple of words?
I know that Dad was very proud to be from Summerside. He'd be very honored.
Thank you. Anybody else like to say it? If not, you're welcome to take a seat. Maybe the councillors might want to say a couple of words, but we're very honored to remember Coke this way. And it'll be in the archives forever and a day as part of our annual report. Thank you.
Do you want us to say
yes,
a few
I'm going to
words,
see if anybody, Councillor Coleman or Deputy Mayor, sorry. We'll just have a, try and go around the table. It might some people want to say a couple of words.
Well, to the Grady family, thank you for being here. And Coke, I remember him as a young kid that lived in the West End, and all of us kids knew Coke. And I think it was just something, and every time I walk along that boardwalk, I think of, you know, different people that always would say about the smell in the West End area. And your dad, Coke, your husband, he was so very proud of it, because I think it's really become a jewel of Summerside in that area of town. But really great man. When we were kids growing up, it was just, he always seemed to be so funny, and sometimes I felt like we were little street urchins. He would just, you know, kind of encourage us along. So it is something nice to see him remembered tonight. So thank you for being here.
Councillor Deputy Mayor, read the minutes of the information of Mr. Grady there.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, sure.
Okay, sure. Well, maybe I'll stand, Your Worship.
Sure, whatever.
Okay.
Residents will be able to hear the
So in all of
information.
the financial documents, this picture that you have and the write-up about your father and husband. Colin Coke Grady dedicated his life to sports and giving back to his home community of Summerside until his death on May 12, 2021, at 87 years of age, which he certainly didn't look. Born in Summerside, he was the son of the late James and Margaret Loder Grady, survived by his wife Valerie Arsenault Grady, son Paul and Tracy, daughters Darlene Grady and Mike Reed, and Shelley and Mike Williams, his furry friend Maggie, grandchildren Kayla, Hannah, Brianna, Lauren, Courtney, and Sammy Joe. 7 great-grandchildren, extended sisters Joan and Donna, and by many special nieces and nephews and cousins. Grady compiled an impressive resume as an athlete, coach, administrator, and official. He starred as a shortstop in baseball and a slick skating forward in hockey in the 1950s. He was a 2015 inductee into the Legends of Field Honor Roll at Queen Elizabeth Park in Summerside. Grady also served on the Prince County Horsemen's Club Board of Directors and was praised for his loyalty and dedication to harness racing. Grady is fondly remembered for his contributions running the Summerside Minor Ball program, as well as his lengthy hockey officiating career as a respected linesman. His influence extended far beyond sports and focused on inclusion, generosity, and developing quality people. And we would like to credit Jason Simmons with the Guardian Journal Pioneer sports editor for his assistance in writing this dedication. And it's dedicated into the memory of Colin Coke Grady.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Councillor McFeely.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I just wanted to say to Valerie and family how pleased I am that we could have this tribute tonight, and I think the dedication speaks for itself, so I won't get into that. I don't think that those in the current generation really know how good an athlete Coke really was. I had the pleasure of knowing Coke for almost 50 years. I think I first met him probably in 1972 or 73, and worked with him in the recreation department for a number of years, and we had a heck of a lot of fun back in those. You can't do that kind of stuff in the workplace today. We had a good time, and nothing but fond memories. And I think Valerie, as we talked about when I visited your place there shortly after Coke's death, that I don't ever recall anybody saying a bad thing about Coke Grady at any point in time, and few of us will be able to say that as we go on. And so just a wonderful person and a good friend. So this is just a great dedication. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McFeely. Any other councillors who want to say a few words? Councillor Adams.
I'll just quickly, just wanted to pass along, I know my husband, Sean, he spoke very highly of your dad. And some of the stories, we were laughing because as Councillor McFeely said, they had a little Facebook group and they were sharing stories, and he was sharing them with myself and our son, and Caleb would be like, "You did that at the ballpark?" Like that was, so, can't do that now, no, yeah. It was always, we always followed up with that, don't try that. So, and also I think he has to be remembered for the under-22, the Island Junior Baseball League. The championship was in his honor as well, and that was huge. And you have to remember things like that all started because of people like him, and we keep saying it, but we keep growing, but we always have to remember the people that got us to where we are today, and he was definitely one of them. So thank you guys, and thank you for sharing him with all of us.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Councillor Duran?
Thank you, Your Worship.
I nearly said Councillor Dorion again.
Well,
Councillor
it's-
Duran.
'Tis the season. I think I can sum up who Coke was pretty quickly and pretty frankly. I never met him, but I knew him. And, oh God, the stories I've heard too. Yeah, I've never met Coke. I guess just because I wasn't in the circles that some have been into. I didn't get into sports until, later in life, and my son became involved, but I knew him. And I think that speaks to exactly the kind of person that he was. And like I said, my son plays ball now every year, and I think Coke, he certainly helped pave the way, certainly in baseball, but hockey as well and other sports. He paved the way and helped shape how the association is today. And I think that's something that you as a family should be incredibly proud of. And I don't know really what else more I can say other than how deserving he is to be, memorialized in this way, and certainly in many others. But just thank you to everybody for, like Councillor Adams said, lending him to us for so many years, and congratulations to be able to help, to be able to share his stories with others. I think that's an accomplishment in its own. So for that reason, congratulations, and thanks for coming in tonight to help us to help share this with us.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. Councillor McDougall.
Thank you, Your Worship, Valerie, family. I think the mayor summed it up pretty well on these first couple of words that he spoke. He said that Coke was an all-around great guy, and he was. I never spent a whole lot of time around the ball diamond. I was a basketball player, can you tell? Joking. But no, Coke was a great guy. And that picture, every time you look at that picture, that's the smile he had, and he carried that smile for years. He was always good at giving you a jab about council things, but he was also quick to pat you in the back when he thought you did a great thing. So this is very deserving for Coke and the family. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Councillor Ramsay.
Thank you, Your Worship, and welcome to the Grady family here this evening, and congratulations on this wonderful dedication to your dad and your husband, Valerie. And I've known Coke since I've been a little girl, and I thought so much of your dad, and I got to work with your dad at the hospital, and just, before his passing, and he was so proud of his family. He loved his family so much, and I would spend hours with him over there, and we would have great chats. And, he was a lot of things, but he was a good family man, and lucky to have him as your dad and as your husband, Valerie. I told him he had such a beautiful, well, he said, Barb, she's so much younger than me, He sure loved you, Valerie. And thank you for coming in and allowing us to dedicate this evening to your dad.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
And Councillor Campbell, another former umpire and referee and athlete, you probably were on the ice or the ball field with Coke.
Look, Mr. Grady being a respected linesman, I was called in to referee a Three Oaks hockey game, and they said the Dewey Training and Coke Grady will do the lines for you. So I went and dropped the ice, or the pocket center ice, started skating in, went by the blue line. Coke passed the kidney stone that night. If you ever heard people roar, but he stuck around. I don't know whether he was cheap, but he stayed to get his money, but he stuck the whole game out. And people would know the trouble he had with the gallstones.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Snow, I believe he was in your ward.
He definitely was, and every once in a while I'd see one of his daughters, and she would remind me to the little Snow fellow there to what needed to be done in the West End. So it was I made a few stops there, and she would always remind me. So just to Valerie and the kids and entire family, it's great when we can dedicate things to people in our community that make such a difference in the lives of so many. When you hear counselors talk, and when I heard Councillor McFeely say, you know, the younger generation, I didn't get to see him play, but I definitely heard of how good of an athlete he was. And as a sports nut myself, I really wish I would have. But I did get to meet him and had a chance to talk to him on a few occasions for sure. And he always had that smile there, and he was always good to give you the time to talk to you or give you his advice or his opinion, which is always great. So congratulations on this honor to your dad and your husband.
Thank you, Councillor Snow, and I'll just sum up here. As it was mentioned, he was an outstanding athlete, and he had attended professional baseball camps. That was back many, many years ago. If Coke was growing up today or coming up through the minor ball system or the minor hockey system, he would be drafted and be, in all likelihood, playing professional baseball or professional hockey, because he had everything going for him. He had the heart and the guts and the talent. And I'll just tell you a little true funny story. But when he was coming up to O'Leary to play hockey one time, he was a great athlete. He wasn't dirty, but if somebody went looking for him, they got what they asked for. But there was somebody, I guess, made a run at him at one of the games before, and he went to the guy just before they dropped the puck and said, "You may as well call the ambulance now, because you're going to need it as soon as the game starts." So anyway, the guy didn't go near him all night, and Coke got 3 goals, and they won the game. So besides his skills, he knew how to play the game in a lot of ways. So anyway, I miss him at the coffee shop every few days when I can get a chance to go there, and we're honored to be able to remember Coke tonight and be part of our history in our yearbooks, annual books. There was, I'll just finish up with this. A number of years ago, Nelson Johnson was the manager here, and he brought up to me, he gave me the annual report of the Summerside in 1906. And it was a story on the annual report and the councillors and their thoughts, and it's still in the archives. And if you want to read it, and forever and a day, this annual report will be in the archives and the memories of your dad. So anyway, thanks for being here tonight, and all the best to you. So So you're welcome to stay for some of the council meeting or all of it. We'll continue on with the presentations. I believe the first item on the agenda is correspondence, and okay, thank you. We'll give all the best to you. Thank you. Bye. Right. Correspondence is just usual invitations and functions. I attended the Roots and Cowboy Boots, or whatever it was called, and that was very successful, and many functions and events over the last month. I don't want to take a whole lot of time to read them all, but anyway, we'll continue on to the Finance Chair. Deputy Mayor McCollum, you have a report and 2 resolutions.
There's a presentation, Your Worship.
Which one is it here?
3B,
Oh, yes, Access PEI, sorry.
coordinated access.
Coordinated access, okay. So come forward and... Okay, sorry I didn't get my trifocals adjusted in time there. I saw these folks and I thought they were with the Grady family.
No, but it was nice to be here for that, though.
Okay, so maybe just before we start, I believe that all the councillors, you know most of the councillors or all the councillors? And
Yeah,
have a
we were
CAO.
having a conversation earlier. I think Brian and I worked together in my very first job with Active Living and that Summerside Heart Health Program, Mayor Stewart.
Okay,
That was like early 90s. So the same with, and I've met Norma then, and Bruce was at the Journal Pioneer then. Corey, thank you for inviting us tonight. So Councillor Campbell, Councillor Ramsey, Ms. Adams, and Mr. Duran. Yeah. Ooh. Thank you so much for having us
we have our
tonight.
CAO with us, Rob Philpott, and our Director of Finance, Kristen Dunsford, with us.
Hi.
And Brian Harlick's here running the controls for our cameras and our speakers. So we'll turn the floor over to whomever is the speaker present.
I'm good with the mic?
Yes.
This is okay? Okay. So my name is Lorianne McCardle. I'm the project coordinator for some work that we're doing called Coordinated Access, and that's what we're here to talk about tonight. I'm an employee of the provincial government with social development and housing. And with me tonight is Donna Keenan. She's with the John Howard Society. She's the Reaching Home Coordinator. And in the audience behind are members from Lifehouse Summerside. It's the new emergency shelter and transitional shelter that's just been announced. So, and they're a partner in the work that we do. So I'm very grateful that you would have us here tonight to talk to you about what we've been up to. So we are a partnership of organizations that are interested in supporting individuals who are experiencing homelessness or at imminent risk of homelessness. So as a large group of organizations, the first thing we did was come up with our name and our logo. So our name is Addressing Homelessness PEI, and it's a little bit of a play entendre. It's addressing, as in giving people who are homeless an address, which is our little house, and then the envelope, because we're working collaboratively as a group of organizations to address homelessness. So Reaching Home is Canada's homelessness strategy. It's a community-based program aimed at preventing and reducing homelessness. The John Howard Society is the provincial community entity, so they handle the federal money coming in and ensure that all the necessary obligations are met. The work needed to start April 1st, 2020, and it's a 2-year project that will wrap up with everything being operational by March 31st of 2022. So what is coordinated access? So it's a more efficient and streamlined way to help communities ensure equitable access to appropriate resources and to prioritize the people who are most in need of emergency services, who are dealing with homelessness as the primary issue in their life. And to do that, we have a new web-based platform that the federal government has developed called Homeless Individuals and Families Information System. This has been around for a little while, so we're now at version 4.0. This is an updated information technology system that's designed to let all of our partners work together in a seamless service delivery process. And it allows for common client information to be shared across agencies without clients having to repeat their stories and thereby re-victimizing them. And it also allows us to track an inventory of rental units that are being put forward so that we always know when a unit's coming up and when we can move a new client in. So as a project management team, 4 of us, Donna and I and a colleague from each of our organizations guides the work. And of course, we can't do it alone. So we have 2 teams that work with us. So the ladies behind me sit on the governance team. Its representatives come from all the major service providers across the island who either offer shelter or emergency housing supports. We started out by being the last province in Canada coming on to this program. So our what was in front of us then was the option to learn from all the other provinces and take the lessons that they had learned. The governance team really guides us in our planning and our delivery process and creating all the policies that we're going to work by. And we started out by defining homelessness, thinking about what our guiding principles would be of how we would work with each other and with our clients. And then we have a second team made up of service providers, so it's all the same organizations, but it's someone who's their frontline staff who work with clients on a daily basis. And they're going to support the process by matching clients to services and units, and then offering ongoing case management support. So we have quite a number of organizations involved in the process. So the John Howard Society, because they support clients who are exiting incarceration, who could be homeless based on the amount of time they were incarcerated. The provincial government is at the table, including housing services, social programs, justice and public safety, and then health PEI with mental health and addictions. The Salvation Army, who supports Bedford McDonald House, the Community Outreach Center, the Emergency Housing Line, and now Deacon House. And then Blooming House is an out-of-the-cold shelter in Charlottetown for women, Family Violence Prevention Services and their outreach offices across the island. Chief Mary Bernard Memorial Shelter in O'Leary, Canadian Mental Health, specifically here in Summerside, but also Charlottetown and West Prince, the Mi'kmaq Confederacy, the Native Council of PEI, Council People with Disabilities, our newest partner, Lifehouse Summerside, and then the Community Advisory Board and the Rural Advisory Board on Homelessness, which is where we make our connections with Corey Snow. So in the big picture, coordinated access, we need to find a way to make access to all these agencies easy for clients who are experiencing homelessness. So we'll be opening access points in all of those centers. They're going to be easily accessible. They're going to meet clients and greet them from the perspective of strength-based and person-centered. We're going to have common policies and procedures that everyone will work by, and standardized assessment tools that really help us understand what makes clients vulnerable and how to support them. And then we'll match them and put whatever other referrals are needed to support people in place. And then our fancy IT support, it's really about signing off government documents with the federal government, and then having the server and security and safeguards in place, because we're handling client very sensitive information. So we're partnered with a group out of Nova Scotia who take care of all the Nova Scotia access points. We've signed agreements across all these agencies to make sure everybody understands what it means to keep client information private and confidential, and that we'll just share with each other what we need based on client consent so that we can all support the common clients. And then common training and management of privacy rights to make sure only people get to see what they're entitled to see. So the access points will start opening over probably the next 2 or 3 months. The first ones will be the John Howard Society and the Housing Navigator through Housing Services and Social Programs with the provincial government. And then after that, there'll be a series of closed sites, and that means that they're open to their clients only, because they're pretty much family violence centers, and they wouldn't want a male identifying person to arrive at their doorstep looking for homelessness services. And the Native Council as well, they have a closed membership to those that live off reserve, so they'll support their own clients. And after that, Canadian Mental Health will be opening their doors here in Prince County and West Prince, and also in Charlottetown, followed by the Salvation Army through the Community Outreach Center, and then another closed site at Lifehouse when they're open at their sites and ready to go. So as an example, John Howard will be able to take in clients from the general public and funnel them in to the services and supports that they'll need. And the same, the Housing Navigator will be able to take clients from the general public from a wide variety of backgrounds to support them in the services that they might need. And so when you come to an access point as a person needing support, the first thing we always want to do is make sure you're safe, especially through the family violence centers, that you are safe before we follow up and with the kind of support that you're going to need. Then we're going to explain what coordinated access is and have you sign informed consent to put you into our IT platform. If you can be diverted safely from an emergency shelter, we'd like to start with that, because our statistics would show that even spending a couple of nights in an emergency shelter, it's easy to get caught into that system. So if there's someplace safe for you to be for a few days while we work with you, we'd like to try that first. If not, we'll do an intake and really understand the depth of your need. And then when we get into a relationship with you, then we'll do the full assessment, because as you can imagine, it would be quite invasive. So we don't want to move to that too soon. Then we'll use our priority matrix to match you to the services that might support you and in getting you ready to move into a unit when it becomes available. And then we know that getting into a unit is one thing, but being able to stay in a unit sometimes can be something else for people who are episodically homeless. They can cycle in and out of units, so the ongoing case management will be really key. Our priority clients, getting them ready means that we work with them for case management to make sure they have all their documents ready, so when we're ready to sign a lease with them, that they're ready to move in. We can use our IT platform for real-time updates, and we use our partnerships around the table to make the best matches. As you know, all community services and government services these days have a bit of waiting lists, so trying to make those best matches. And really looking to take people off of what would become our waiting list based on the chronicity, meaning the length of time that they've been homeless, based on their acuity from their assessment scores, and what other things make them vulnerable, like trimorbidity or the number of emergency services they're involved with. And then the last part of our work is engaging landlords. So we're in that process now of finding and recruiting and working with landlords. A different kind of a pitch rather than an individual organization going to them looking for a unit for one of their clients, because we'll be able to wrap multiple service providers around individual clients. And so it's about building and maintaining productive relationships with landlords. When we match a client to a landlord, the landlord can say no to a client, but the client can also decline a landlord if there's been a negative history in the past, and they know it's not going to be a good match. So then it's really about the wraparound services to make the tenancy successful. And just one last slide around our IT platform. It's really leading edge data management system with a lot of privacy and confidentiality rights built in, so that service providers can only see information for the clients that they're working with. Everybody gets a lot of training. Data quality is really important. And then lots of training and technical assistance and help desk will be available through our Nova Scotia partners. So that was very quick, big picture though, and that's really what we were looking to share with you tonight, is just a big picture of the work that we've got underway.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from councillors? Go ahead, Councillor Ramsay.
I'm sorry, Donna and
Lori Ann.
Lori Ann?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, Lori Ann.
That's
I should have
okay.
written that down.
That's all right.
Anyway, thank you for coming in. Sounds like you've got your work cut out for you here. How long have you been in place?
A year and a half.
So it's a year and a half,
Yeah, of the 2 years.
up to 2 years, okay.
So we're coming
So it's a
close.
2-year contract
Right.
that you have to work on this project.
Right.
and-
2 years with federal funding.
Okay, all right. And you've engaged with our Summerside people here, I see.
Absolutely.
Yes, our new
Yes.
friends.
Yeah, well,
No, it's
that's
a great
that's
partnership.
exciting,
Yeah, it
and,
is.
yeah. Okay, well, I was just curious as to, I missed that somewhere, maybe you did say it was a year and a half and you're 2 years, but I just wanted to.
Big project.
Wonderful work you're doing, and, so needed,
Mm-hmm.
and, thank you for sharing all this information. It's-
Well, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you, Councillor McFeely.
Thank you, and thank you, Lorianne and Donna, for your presentation. Good to see you again, Lorianne.
You too, John.
I guess I'm just trying to get a handle on how acute is the homeless problem in PEI, specifically Summerside and generally PEI. Do you track numbers and that type of thing?
So actually that's a big part of Donna's job up until now, until we get the new IT platform in place, and then we'll have a better idea of the actual numbers. So the way to think about it is right now there's a lot of people in PEI that could be dealing with homelessness, but it doesn't mean they're like on the street or living in a tent or an encampment. But we don't know who they all are, because sometimes people have not chosen to engage with services. And then a little, in the spring, the John Howard Society led what's called a point-in-time count, where for a couple of days they reach out to service providers and they try to get a count. So it's only numbers, and the numbers don't always have a lot of context. So when we start our process, people will be working with us and will know their names. And at that point, these are people that are engaged and actively interested in not being homeless, and those will be the clients we'll be able to work with. So when the point-in-time count happened,
Yeah, so we did it in April, and it was because of the pandemic, we had to do things differently this year, and we couldn't really engage with people. We did a streak, sorry. Okay, there we go. So we did a street count both in Charlottetown and Summerside. It didn't show a lot of numbers, but you know, when you're out for one evening for a certain amount of time, it's, as Lorianne said, it's the hidden homeless that are hard to count. So we are hoping with this new database and this coordinated effort, we will have a better grasp of numbers. The count did show, I think it was 144, but now that's not people that are maybe homeless, but they're in transitional housing, supportive housing. They could be staying at Talbot House. That would include the number in the shelters, and Lennon House. It was quite a wide range of basically file review that we did to get those numbers. Yeah, so it's never exact, and it's a question we get asked all the time. What are the numbers? And it's the hardest question to answer. Yeah.
And then the follow-up to that is, how do you deal with sort of this systemic discrimination around homelessness, and when you're talking about dealing with landlords and that type of thing, and opening those doors that will enable them to get some roots and that type of thing?
I think it's really tough, and I think it's one of the things you just have to acknowledge right up front and then start to work from there. So, for example, some of the landlords we've been talking with really like the idea of having more than one organization supporting the client. And I think it's all the different things that we can do as well, like through coordinated access, we've got like a little fund of money. So if a client comes home in the middle of the night and they've locked their self out and they decide the best answer is to kick the door in, then we can repair the door. And we can maintain the relationship with the landlord that way. So I think sometimes things like a fruit basket and, you know, just understanding can go a long way. I think the other thing is then when a landlord is keeping an eye on a client and the client seems to be sliding backwards a little bit, they can reach out to any number of organizations that could be supporting that client. So yeah, I think there's a few different ways, but definitely stigma is going to be one of those major barriers, and then we also know there'll be a lot of clients who've already burned bridges with certain landlords, so we're just not going to be able to go back and repair that, right? So it won't be easy.
Thank you. Councillor Snow and then Councillor Campbell.
I just want to thank Gloria and Donna and the Lifehouse ladies for coming in and presenting. I truly believe helping those most in need is a real important part of any municipality or provincial government, federal government for that sake. But thank you for coming to present, because sometimes it's very easy to get the blinders on, and like you say, you often get that question, how many people are homeless? And realistically, it's always hard to tell, and it will change daily, because a lot of people are days away from being homeless and days away from not being homeless. So it's important that we get in to help them when we can. So just thank you for coming and presenting to myself and council, mayor.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you, Councillor Snow. Okay, I got Councillor Campbell, and then Councillor Duran, and then Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to mention that I was a volunteer with the federal penitentiary system up until a couple of years ago, with this pandemic and everything stopped. But it was explained to me one time, and it made total sense. I was asked if we had a halfway house in Summerside, and I said, no, nobody wants it in their community, but the people are still there.
Yes.
You know, they're in the community, and with a halfway house, at least you can help or give them skills and things like that. So
That's right.
it really meant something for me to hear it in that aspect.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Then we'll go with Councillor Duran.
Okay, thanks, Your Worship. Social media can be quite a useful tool. And I know, you know, depending on what the topic of the day is, I'm sure, as you know, something could be posted and there's a whole, you know, conversation that can take place underneath there, and it can blossom into something that has nothing to do with what was originally posted. And I know as a counselor, I see a lot of it, and it can become very relevant to what you presented this evening. So I guess really what I was wondering is, a lot of the time, you know, we're asked, where can I go, or who can I contact? And a lot of the times, we're not really sure. You know, we'll have to say, you know, contact the Department of, you know, Housing or Social Development. So when I see this on the screen, you know, contact us. Where is the best place to send people? And I mean, I reference social media. I mean, that's where most of it comes up. But is there, you know, a one-stop shop where you can not send, but refer people to getting in touch with, rather than, oh, just try Access PEI or?
Yeah, I'm thinking, the Provincial Housing Navigator is one of the access points. There is an emergency helpline as well that's toll-free island-wide. That is a good resource. I think the goal of having all these organizations involved is that any of those organizations could be an access point, or would definitely have the information to send folks in the right direction. I'm thinking of Lifehouse even though it's a shelter for women, but, you know, in the Summerside area, if someone knew of a male that was homeless, certainly they could contact Lifehouse, who would direct them to the, you know, correct source of information. So we're trying to make it, I guess, more accessible, because I think you're right, sometimes people just don't know where to turn. Yeah. We do have some, we didn't bring them tonight, unfortunately. Thought of it in the drive up, some pamphlets that we can send with Corey or the ladies from Lifehouse to have, for you to have here. It would be good, I think, for city police to have them, for anyone to have, and they will have all the access points listed on them and the contact information. And I think when in doubt, reach out to one, and we'll certainly, you know, they can pass you through to the.
There was one instance, it was just, you know, a comment that you see, it was, you know, my brother or my sister, they're in their car in this parking lot, and I mean, you don't want to go by, you want to comment on that and say, hey, well, have you tried this, have you tried that, so it's good to.
Exactly. Yeah, we would like to get sort of that addressing homelessness out there more, and get that name out there so that people will become familiar with it, and start to put it together with all the organizations that are involved here. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to say to these two ladies behind me, who I think I had contact with for about 2 years, from the first instance when they had a homeless person, a homeless lady that was on their doorstep, and these ladies did not stop until they got a place in Summerside. So I just really want to recognize the hard work and the dedication they put into knocking on doors, making phone calls to get where they're at today. So it's been a pleasure to work with them, and so happy to see something in Summerside like that, because it is needed.
I was going to ask you just to give us that 1-800 number. Do you guys have to have that? You have it, just so us counselors could have it if we need it to.
Certainly, we'll make sure that we drop off a package with all that information in it.
I have that in a question anyway.
Okay, we got,
Could we maybe get a copy of this presentation too, because there's a lot of
Absolutely.
keys in there that we could refer to.
Absolutely, yes, thank you.
okay, thank you, Councillor Drawn. And next I have Deputy Mayor McCollum, and then Councillor McDougall.
Okay, and I was also going to ask for the presentation packet so that we could have it not only for policing, but also for our emergency preparedness. So that could be added to the listing, just if we should run into that in a situation. But I want to thank you both for being here, and also the women from Lifehouse. Thank you. I think it's really, really important. You're talking about something that really touches my heart, working with women for over 30 years and their families, and 17 years in domestic abuse. So we're thrilled that Lifehouse is going to be in Summerside, because I believe that when we lost our safe transition house for women after, 20-some years, there was a hole in the community. And for anybody that has dealt with abuse, as these women are, that the wraparound is so important. So all of the things that you've mentioned, it's so important. I guess my question would be, with the end of the federal funding for the project in March 2022, is there any chance of it being extended, or is it based on you have to reapply, that sort of thing?
No, the funding will actually continue on. Right now, we are in the third year of, it's actually a 10-year agreement with the federal government that the John Howard Society has through Reaching Home. So it will continue on. I guess we're referring more to Lori Ann. We will not have her at the end of, no, the funding will continue on.
But I think a couple of the things that you mentioned about HIFIS, I know we had to do that, and I'm sure it's updated since since I
Yes.
was there.
Yes.
But that is so good, and again, just sort of that cross-partnering so that nobody is isolated, you can all work together in that kind of an environment it's so important. So it sounds like you've really got a great project, and all the best to those women back there. I know they're doing a great job.
Many kudos.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
I'll be very short because the Deputy Mayor just asked my question around funding, so, but I do want to thank you, Lorianne and Donna, for being here this evening. It was a great presentation, and I also want to thank and congratulate the Lifehouse ladies back there. Thank you.
Okay, I do not see any
Just
others.
quickly,
Oh, sorry,
I
Councillor
was
Adams.
just going to mention too, that the handout, would that be good to give to like the police services? Send it over to the chief and so on, so, yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I just thought of that now, because I was going to ask for the package to be sent to us as
Definitely.
well.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's nice, to have you guys here, because we've, been being educated by the Lifehouse ladies as they are being tagged now, so, it's nice for you guys to be here as well, and, they're doing their best to keep us educated on what we need to know, so.
That's great.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Councillor Snow.
Just so everybody knows, I got a business card there from the Lifehouse ladies, and it has the temporary shelter support number on it, and I just sent it around to each of you, so you all have that.
Thank you
And
very
one of
much.
the things, if I could just ask,
Go
I
ahead.
know this is specifically for the Lifehouse ladies or Lifehouse shelter. A few people were asking and things about like donations, things like that, about a charitable number. So if that's something, if you could let us, not here, but if you privately let us know, okay?
Thank you. I do not see any speaker lights on at this point, so do you have any final summations you want to mention? Or?
No, just if anyone has any questions at any time, feel free to reach out. I will drop off that information for you, the pamphlets with the contact, but feel free to reach out at any time if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for having us.
I would just say a tough act to follow when coming in behind Coke Grady's
Yes.
family,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for the other ladies at the back there too, and for being here, and appreciate your great efforts. And like I say, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but I would imagine you got other things to do. Yeah. Thank you very much. So we'll continue on. I believe Deputy Mayor has a financial services report and a resolution, 2 resolutions. Resolutions, yeah.
Not a revolution. Yes, Your Worship, there's 2 resolutions, and I'll just begin with the monthly report. I'd like to say good evening to my colleagues on City Council and residents of the City of Summerside, as well as the residents and the public viewing on live stream. Tonight, we will be presenting a resolution, as mentioned, to approve our 2020-21 audited consolidated financial statements and accept the 2020-21 annual report. Our financial statements and annual report will be posted on our website in the next day or so, and I'd like to just give some highlights from that 2020-21 fiscal year, just to refer to, and then the annual report will be on the website. The net debt has increased by $3 million. This is primarily due to increased acquisitions of capital assets in the amount of $17.2 million in 2020-21 compared to $10 million in 2019 and in the year 2020. In accordance with the public sector accounting standards, our consolidated statement of operations is reporting an annual surplus of $4.8 million. This compares to a budgeted surplus calculated on the same basis of $942,500. What has made the difference is that the infrastructure funding received during 2020-21 accounts for most of the variance between the budget and the actual. Long-term debt has decreased by $2.8 million. The city is still within acceptable debt limits. However, debt servicing costs are increasing, which means a greater percentage of revenue is required to pay these debt service costs, and this may require a reduction in other spending areas. Now, for an update on the status of our utility accounts receivable, as of September 15th, 2021, the following is being reported. Total overdue balance is $121,800 compared to $183,800 at August 10th, 2021. Approximately 3.9%, or in a dollar amount, $4,760 of the overdue balance is greater than 60 days past due, and this compares to 5%, or $9,250 at August 10th, 2021. We would also like to remind residential customers that we offer a budget billing program which will calculate a fixed monthly installment that is based on your prior 12-month billing. The application form is available on our website. As well, we are continuing to take applications from Maritime Electric customers, residential and businesses who are within our municipal boundary to rebate for the additional cost of your January, February, and March 2021 utility bills. This rebate is being offered as Maritime Electric applied the rate increase effective January 1st, 2021. And Summerside Electric made the rate increase effective on April 1st, 2021. The rebate application form is available on our website. The link can be found in the upper right-hand corner of the website, and a copy of your utility bills must be submitted. The approved credit will be processed on your next water and sewer utility bill. If you do not have a water and sewer bill with the City of Summerside, a check will be issued. If you receive your electricity from Summerside Electric, you are not eligible for this rebate, as the electric rate adjustment was not effective until April 1st, 2021. If you have any questions regarding our budget billing program or the utility rebate discussed above, please contact Financial Services at 902-432-1230 if you have any questions, or you can email customer service altogether at summerside.ca. We have great staff in financial services, and they'd be glad to help you. My report today includes our preliminary financial results as of July 31st, 21. These preliminary results show a surplus of $47,000 compared to a budgeted surplus of $14,243. Please be aware that these are very preliminary results, and departments are continuing to review their projections to March 31st, 2022. As well, for members of council, in your financial packet, you will have received a preliminary financial results update to July 31st, 21, as well a breakdown of projections by fund to July 31st, and you'll see that in your packet. And Your Worship, that concludes my report, and I would just like to thank Director Kristen Dunsford for preparing the report and the opportunity to present this report and update. So either myself or Chief Financial Officer would be glad to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Any questions for the Chair of Finance? I do not see any question lights on, so you want to continue with your report?
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. And sorry that that report is long, but finance really encompasses all of the departments, so there's a lot of things to report on to give those figures. But I think at one time people felt that maybe they weren't getting information or transparency, and I know that's something that the department is really trying hard to do, is to make people aware of where we're at and all of the updates. Okay, the first resolution is on the gas tax, and I'll just read a backgrounder into it. The city, we require this resolution to accompany two funding applications which are due on Friday, September 24th, 2021. The Gas Tax Municipal Strategic Component Program is an application-based funding program which has prioritized water, wastewater, and capacity building projects as first priority. This is separate from our annual direct allocation of gas tax. The resolution states that Council supports applications for the East-West Connector, only a component of this project. This funding program is smaller in size and meant for smaller projects, and the wastewater treatment plant centrifuge overhaul. So I'll read the resolution. As Finance Chair, it was moved by myself, Councillor Norma McColman, and seconded by Finance Vice Chair, Councillor Brian McFeely. And it's Resolution COS 21-027. Whereas the province of Prince Edward Island, through the PEI Infrastructure Secretariat, has advised that the gas tax municipal strategic component program is open for applications until September 24th, 2021. Be it resolved that Council endorses the city's applications for funding under the gas tax municipal strategic component program and be submitted as follows. Number 1, East-West Connector, and number 2, wastewater treatment plant centrifuge overhaul.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor McColman and seconded by Councillor McFeely. I didn't have the same resolution number. Could you read the resolution number?
Sure.
I have 160. Not sure which one yours was. Pardon?
I have COS 2107. So I'll just make an amendment and go by the resolution that all council members
Okay.
have in your package. So I'd like to amend that resolution to read the resolution number COS 21-160 and strike from the minutes COS 21-027.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Is there friendly agreement among councillors on that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Any, we didn't vote on the resolution yet. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Contrary, nay. Carried. Thank you.
I'm trying to rush because I know it's taken too long.
No, it's
Anyway, I can tell that by the councillors. Anyway, resolution COS 21-161, and it's
There we
dated
go.
tonight, September 20th, 2021. It was moved by myself, Finance Chair, Councillor Norma McColman, seconded by Vice Chair of Finance, Councillor Brian McFeely. Be it resolved that City Council accept the 2020-2021 annual report and approve the 2020-21 audited financial statements.
Moved by Deputy Mayor McColman and seconded by Councillor McFeely. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Motion
Thank you.
carried. Is that all you have at this point?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Councillor McFeely, you have 107 resolutions, is it?
I got a few
No, there's
resolutions.
not quite that many. Anyway, the
just,
floor is yours, sir, for a report.
A few resolutions, Your Worship, if that's all right. Report from the Planning Board. Just before I get into the resolutions, just wanted to give an update on the Heritage Task Force that's reviewing the Heritage Bylaw and looking at a number of things relating to heritage in the city. We're scheduled to meet again tomorrow evening. We'll tomorrow night be reviewing a first draft of what a new bylaw may look like. And the next step after that is to do some consultation with stakeholders and the public to ensure that that what we're bringing back to council represents the view of the citizens. And at that point, we will bring something back to council for consideration. So just wanted to give you an update on that. I believe we're still on task to bring something back before the end of the year, so that's our goal there. So with that, Your Worship, I will move into the resolutions. I have 4 resolutions.
Go ahead, sir.
The first being COS, make sure I got them in the right order here, COS 21-164, moved by myself, Councillor McFeely, seconded by Councillor Ramsey. Whereas an application was received from Travelers Rest Mini Homes Limited, Inc., for a zoning amendment for PID number 836296 from agricultural A zone to manufactured home park residential R5 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas the zoning bylaw amendment 298, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, was read and declared as read a first time at Council's meeting held September 13th, 2021. And whereas in accordance with Section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw, Council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable: conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, suitability of the site for the proposed development, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses, any comments from residents or other interested persons, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater, and electrical services, city parking and parkland, and accommodating the development and any projected infrastructure requirements, impacts from the development on pedestrian vehicular access and safety and on public safety generally, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources, impacts on the city's finances and budgets, other matters as specified in this bylaw, other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved that zoning amendment 298, the bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby declared as read a second time. And this bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting held September 16th, 2021. And Schedule B is attached to your worship, and I'll read that into the record. Zoning Amendment 298, the bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. The Council of the City of Summerside, under the authority vested in it by Section 18 and Section 19 of the Planning Act, RSPI 1988 Cap P-8, hereby enacts as follows. 1. The zoning for PID number 836296, shown on Schedule B of the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, is designated as manufactured home park residential R5 zone, hereby excluding it from its former designation of agricultural A. And the map showing the subject property is attached to your worship.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McFeely and seconded by Councillor Ramsey. Any questions on the resolution? All right. Oh, Councillor McDougall, sorry.
Yes, I know I had talked on it at the meeting, but this is just the rezoning, right? Is there a development plan that comes after this to council? And my concern is putting that many lots in and only a one-way in and out. It concerns me. There's a lot of people. Not only the pressure that, yes, there needs to be a set of lights at that street, but we're putting a lot of extra units on an already busy, and there's only one exit. It kind of scares me a little bit because I had a problem with our subdivision. We finally got two exits, but I know we ran into a problem personally. So that's why I'm sort of hesitant on this. But if there's does the development plan come back to us? Because, yeah, I need more answers before I can support it. I guess that's what I'm saying. Thanks.
So are you right now it's the rezoning?
It's just the rezoning, yeah.
At this point in time, which opens the door for the development
Right.
plan. So my understanding of the process then is the development plan would come forward with an application for
With an application.
Council would vote on
the
it then.
subdivision.
Yeah.
But does that come to council, CAO?
The development plan would, yes. Anyway, it's a concern of mine, so.
I believe Councillor Adams has a question or comment.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Just to follow up on what Councillor has already mentioned, I brought this up when they were here presenting on it. I believe in what they're trying to do, but it's like I said at the last meeting, I don't believe that this is the time to do it without the infrastructure in place. I don't feel that putting, well, first off, 76 houses, maybe 2 cars a house, say approximately 150 extra cars coming off small, coming and going every day. We keep building, and we're not acting on traffic management for that area and coming out onto Water Street East. As I said in a previous meeting, we had most municipalities build roads and then we they add on to the businesses after the road is built, and we seem to be doing the opposite. So I do have an issue with it. I'm not sure how you want to go about it, if we continue on until the development plan, but I believe I think there's going to be a big problem with it. So, and people had messaged me and called me, and I had to go visit a few over the weekend that, as I mentioned before, there was only 26 letters sent, but it affects a lot more than 26 properties, so.
Thank you. I think when the development plan comes in, that's when council will decide whether they're going to allow that number of lots or fewer lots or whatever. But at this point, as Councillor McFeely said, it's just for the rezoning, and the development plan will have to be approved, to my knowledge, by council, whatever the development plan is. Councillor Snow.
Are we sure it has to come back to us? Like if it fits
Yes.
under that zone and size of lot, and do they have to come back to us for approval? I would, for sure, okay.
My understanding is it's got to come back
Yes.
for council approval. The other part of it too is we're going through for rezoning. We usually have a development plan, and I know there was a sketch put in there, but that can change too, right? Anyway, I spoke my piece.
But if he wanted to come in, say, with half of the number of lots, I'm just thinking out loud here, I guess, I don't know is it a reason enough to turn down the zoning until we know what the size of the number of lots are?
We're rezoning not just for the actual plan, sketch that he had the other day. We're rezoning for the whole property. So not only the sketch that we've seen is going to put extra pressure, there's the ability to put that many more later. That I'm just concerned with it.
Yeah,
And I'm not against development, but I think we got to think safety at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that, I'm not against development either, and there'd be a number of units go there, and they'd be affordable units for people who are needing homes. And I think that, as the mayor said in our last meeting, when the developer was here, we could maybe look at putting street lights and trying to get ready for, and if there are that many homes that go in there, I'm sure your east-west connector, I know, it'd be nice to have it there first, Carrie, and I know how important it is, and I know how important it is to you. And, I'm going to support that when the time comes as well. So as much as I want to support housing, I also want to support what you need out there. But so I think that tonight, if we're to vote on the rezoning, I think we can do that if he has to come in with a plan, and then we would have to approve that as well. But
the other option is you can hold off on approving the rezoning until the development plan comes in, and then council is satisfied itself as a whole that they are comfortable with the plan, right?
I'm not uncomfortable with the plan. I'm just uncomfortable with like, I'd like to see some lights in there. I'd like to see it controlled a little bit so people can get in and out. And as far as a huge emergency, well, knock on wood that never happens. It's never happened. And I hope that would never happen in any development that we do, or that we approve. But I think that I don't think that we should be holding off. I think we should probably approve that, but also try to come up with some funds to get some lights in there. And anyway, that's my.
Okay, I'm just trying to keep an eye on the lights. I think Deputy Mayor, and then Bruce, or then Councillor Dougall. Or who was first?
Doesn't matter.
Who's on first?
Oh, Deputy Mayor.
Well, I certainly hear what Councillor Bruce and Councillor Carey are saying with concerns about the busyness of that area. I know, just to remind us, we just did vote on a resolution to apply for funding that will help towards that east-west connector, not the full amount. But I mean, it certainly is on the radar for the city to see those areas looked at. The other thing, I know we, you know, with development, but I guess like you, Councillor Ramsey, whenever I heard the presentation that it was going to be for affordable housing, I think people have really locked in on that. And for most people now with the housing market that can't afford, say, down payments or whatnot for really high-end areas, this is something that gives younger families some hope that they will have their own home. So there is a need there, and yet again, I know what you folks are saying is important, so we need to be mindful of both.
I believe then, Councillor Peter.
And I'll just, the final word is, I'm not against the development. I think once the developer comes with his development plan, we should have a plan. Because if we're going to allow the development plan to proceed, we need to know how we're gonna handle that amount of traffic. So I think not only does the developer, if we're gonna move ahead with this, not only does the developer have to come forth with a plan, I think we, as a council, should have a plan of how we're going to assess and handle that traffic. Thank you.
Thank you, and I believe, Councillor Adams, you had a comment before we go back to the chair?
I just wanted to mention that we have asked Tech Services to come back to us with some solutions for accessing Water Street east from Bay and from Small. So if this could be put off until such time as we see what Tech Services is telling us, then maybe that would make us feel a little bit better about agreeing to this rezoning. And just, I did have people mention to me, and I believe in what the Mosas are trying to do, but I did have people mention to me this weekend that of the property like there currently is up in Woodridge. This is you're buying the lot, and this is you are buying the home. A manufactured home now is about $180,000. It's not what it used to be. So, part two.
Now, could I just have a question, Mr. Chairman? Not a question, but I guess you had I think it was 70 lots, I think, the other day, or 72? What's in Woodridge? I understand there's over 200.
There's over 200, and that's not including the ones below Cardinal, correct? CAO, yeah.
I thought they came up with a figure. I thought they sent us a figure.
Yeah, there's over 200 just from Cardinal up. But then there's from all the streets Cardinal down. There's like Flamingo, Starling, there's all those streets that all come into Small as well.
Obviously,
So-
that got approved, the 200 lots, which is 70 is quite a bit fewer.
Yeah, that's all part of the Carpete or Carpe or however you say it, Cartwright, like development into the back. That's done.
So just my final comment there, or question, I guess I'm thinking out loud here like everybody else in the committee. This may be, if this is approved, but it has to come back to council, but it may be the time then that the proper infrastructure would have to be put in place, not only for that area, but Bay and the other streets along there. So, you know, it gives a reason for those people along there, plus here, plus on Woodridge, to have the proper infrastructure of traffic lights so the traffic would flow smoothly. Anyway, Mr. Chairman, back to you.
Well, yeah, I think Councillor McDougall spoke a little bit about what I was going to say really is that we need to have a plan to, I don't have any issue personally with approving the rezoning under the understanding that the development plan has to come to council for approval. At that point in time, then we either approve or don't approve based on what's presented. You know, I think it's our responsibility to react, to provide the appropriate infrastructure here, and there is some work being done on Water Street East. We directed staff to bring back recommendations around Water Street East and how we can improve the traffic flow there. I think, you know, those discussions should take into consideration another couple hundred vehicles coming out of there. And as well, we need to look at what we do to the north of there. And I don't know what the tax revenue is from whatever it is, 70, and then the additional ones beyond that in the second phase annually. But
About 150,000, I would say.
you know, that may be enough to make the
Over 10 years is over $1 million.
you know, to our share of whatever, if we can get other funding, that may fund our share of the east-west connector. Because as we all know, we're not flushing cash here, so if there's a way to generate some cash out of this that will allow us to go forward with the east-west connector, maybe it's something we should give consideration to. So I would favor approving the rezoning, knowing that we always have the opportunity to put the brakes on with the development as the development plan comes forward. So.
Thank you. One other light still on, Councillor Adams, you have anything further?
Okay, I guess, so I'd prefer tabling it, or like putting a motion on that this all gets held off until we hear from staff on what they suggest we do.
Okay,
I think
so
it
is
would
there a
be-
motion to table it? You need a seconder, and there's no discussion on tabling the motion, so. I'll second it. So we have to vote on whether it's going to be tabled. So it's moved by Councillor Adams, seconded by Councillor McDougall, that this motion be tabled. All in favour say aye. So we got one, how many, we have to get a raise of hands. We got 1, 2, 3, 3 ayes. And
There's no questions, right? You said there's no.
in a tabling motion, there's not supposed to be discussion. So I'm just trying to make sure we get the right numbers here. In favour of tabling the motion, we're 1, 2, 3. Not in favor? Not in favour? Somebody move around. So I guess it's, the lights are dimmed. There we go. Somebody move. So we have a show of hands in favour then. We had a show of hands not in favour, but now we'll have to have a show of hands in favour of the rezoning. The original motion, sorry. The original, yeah.
Original motion?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So motion passes as 5-3, and the tabling didn't pass at 3. But it still comes back to council. So that was a good discussion. Okay, Councillor McFeely, you still have the floor.
Second motion, Your Worship, moved by myself, Councillor McFeely, seconded by Councillor Barb Ramsey. Whereas an application was received from Travelers Rest Mini Homes Limited for a zoning amendment for PID number 836296 from agricultural A zone to manufactured home park residential R5 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas zoning bylaw amendment 298, the bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw was read and declared as read at 2 separate meetings of council held on different days. Be it resolved that zoning bylaw amendment 298, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby formally adopted.
Moved by Councillor McFeely and seconded by Councillor Ramsey. We've got all the questions the last time. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary nay? So it's a 5-3, I think, again. Okay, motion carried.
Moving on, Your Worship, Resolution COS 21-166.
Councillor McFeely, just before you're there, Brian, you're making record of who voted which way? Okay, so it'll be recorded. Thank you.
Thank you. Moved by myself, Councillor McFeely, seconded by Councillor Kerry Adams, whereas an application was received from Highcroft Farms for a restricted use to allow a small retail store in a proposed farm gate building at 268 All-Weather Highway, PID number 1081520, in the agricultural A zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. Be it resolved, the council approved the restricted use for a small retail store with a maximum floor area of 230 square meters, that's 2,475 square feet, in the proposed farm gate building at 268 All-Weather Highway, PID number 1081520, in the agricultural A zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. This bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting September 16th, 2021.
Moved by Councillor McFeely and seconded by Councillor Adams, I believe they said that. Okay, any questions on the resolution? All in favor, say aye. You had your light on there, but I don't know. Okay. Contrary, nay. Motion carried unanimously.
And finally, your worship, resolution number COS 21-167, moved by myself, Councillor McFeely, seconded by Councillor Kerry Adams. Whereas an application was received for a major variance from Trent Smith, acting on behalf of the property owner, Wai Sang Feng, PID number 301317 at 415 Water Street, zoned R3, for a variance to the lot. And whereas the development standards for the R3 zones, section 17.5 of the city zoning bylaw, requires a lot area for a single-family dwelling existing to be 480 square meters. And whereas in accordance with section 7.2 of the city zoning bylaw, council, planning board, and development officer shall consider the variance against the following tests for justifying a variance. A, that the hardship is due to unique physical conditions of the lot or property, including small lot size, irregular lot size, existing building location on the property, an exceptional topographical condition, which makes it impractical to develop in strict conformity with the bylaw standards. Exceptional topographical conditions may include but are not limited to trees, slope of land, etc. B, that the proposed variance meets the general intent of the official plan. C, that the proposed variance meets the general intent of the zone. D, that the proposed variance would not impact negatively on adjacent properties or on the essential character of the surrounding neighborhood, including taking into consideration any comments from neighbors. Be it resolved that council approve Trent Smith, acting on behalf of property owner Wai Sang Feng, PID number 301317 at 415 Water Street, the following variance. Variance to the lot area, proposed lot area of 415.6 square meters. The applicant is requesting a variance of 13%. And this bears the recommendation of the planning board meeting held on September 16th, 2021, your worship.
Moved by Councillor McFeely and seconded by Councillor Adams. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Carried. Is that all you have at this point? Or-
That's all I have, sir.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Okay, we'll continue on item number 7. Councillor Adams, you have HR, Legal Affairs, Culture, Summerside, and Policy and Bylaw Review Committee Chair.
Thank you, Your Worship. We'll start with the Culture Summerside. I'll just review a few points on Lori's report. We currently have one remaining student from the summer period. The others have ended their placement and are gone back to school, but the one that's remaining is covering the demand for the tours through the week and the weekends. The grant writing is underway for next year's programs and the festivals. And the armory renovation, the goal is to tidy up the remaining work swiftly so we can meet some fall exhibit and programming deadlines. And it's really coming together over there. They were doing some topsoil groundwork whenever we came in. So and there's a beautiful little paver stone area there. Permission has been received from Public Health to deliver the revised Ghost Walk, and that'll be October 21st, and that's always popular, so we'll hope for some good weather. Culture Summerside Municipal Services are making plans to launch Lighting the Way, 100 Years of Summerside Electric in early November. The book is an in-depth history of the municipal utilities' first 100 years. The launch will take place at the Credit Union Place, and an event date will soon be released. And just watch for that on social media and so on. 2021 marks the 40th anniversary of the founding of the Lady Slipper Rug Hooking Guild in Summerside and the beginnings at the Lafergie Cultural Center. Founding member Joan McGilvery marked her 90th birthday in May, and an exhibit was secretly planned for the Lafergie Cultural Center and is now open to the public. If there's any questions, Your Worship?
I do not see any lights on, so continue.
Okay, Bylaw Policy Review Committee. Just to bring everyone up to date on the latest efforts of the BPR committee. Earlier this year, the province enacted several changes to the MGA, Municipal Government Act, which required corresponding amendments to the city's procedural bylaw. Council has passed the amendments to this bylaw, which dealt with electronic meetings. Knock on wood, we don't need those again, and committee terms of reference. It recently came to our attention that the amendment was not formally noted in the revised bylaw. So, serving notice to council colleagues that to correct this issue, we are conducting first reading of the revised bylaw tonight, so that will follow this. Some work in progress and upcoming projects. More recently, staff had presented council with options on other tools that may help in addressing unsightly properties in the community. To that end, council directed staff to look at methods around taxation and stimulus programs as additional tools for council to use. In addition, staff are working with our legal advisors to examine how other jurisdictions address unsightly properties and whether there are other methods or tools we can consider. The committee is also reviewing processes for latecomer charges, mobile food establishment license renewals, and crosswalk maintenance. We will bring recommendations to council in the near future on these items. And I'd just like to bring everyone's attention to the fact that I seen today on social media, not sure if it's true or not, about them doing the Hillsborough Bridge paving at night.
They are.
So this is very interesting because it's something that we were mentioning in the bylaw policy review committee about, you know, at busy intersections and so on, the thoroughfares in our city, about evening work on those rather than peak times. So be interesting to see how that goes. Yes, that's provincial, but it's a contractor that still has to do it and work at night, right? So, yeah. This concludes the report for September. Any questions for CAO or I'll go right into the resolutions if not.
Okay, go ahead.
And just 1 second, CAO Rob, you just this, I don't have to do the amendment because it's all the packages online? Right.
Right.
Yep, I'll just read the resolutions, but if anybody's interested, the whole 10-page document is online. Okay. Yeah, look at them all rush. Okay, so moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Duran. Whereas amendments are required to the CS-2 procedural bylaw, be it resolved that CS-2-A, a bylaw to amend the procedural bylaw, be read a first time, and Schedule A, CS-2-A is attached.
Moved by Councillor Adams and seconded by Councillor Duran. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Contrary nay. Carried.
And resolution COS 21-163, moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor McColman. Whereas CS-2-A, a bylaw to amend a procedural bylaw, was read a first time at this September 20th, 21 council meeting, be it resolved that CS-2-A, a bylaw to amend the procedural bylaw, be declared read a first time and approved.
Move, was that resolution number 163?
Yep.
Okay, moved by Councillor Adams and seconded by whom?
Deputy Mayor McColman.
Deputy Mayor McColman. All in favor say aye. Contrary nay. Carried. Is that all you have at this point? Okay.
I could go on, but you've probably heard enough from me, so carry on.
I just want to mention something at this time. I don't think we had a meeting since a longtime councillor here in Summerside, Ivan Pino, passed away over the last few weeks. And we'd like to pass on condolences to all members of his family. Maybe it was mentioned at another council meeting, but I'd like to mention it because he did serve in council for a long time, I believe, representing the West Ward. And when I started to work for Summerside, he was the councillor in charge of the police department. And so I always remember Ivan giving me my first job here in Summerside. But we'll pass on condolences to all members of his great family. Okay, we'll continue on, Councillor Adams with, not Councillor Adams, you I believe Councillor Bruce McDougall. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a report here from Director Greg Goody. Sewage treatment plant performed their major maintenance this month, and all systems are good. There was a main plant control system had failed during the lighting storm. That's all repaired. We provided a tour for the Kensington Town treatment operators. The Public Works continues to repair the catch basins, and there was 9 completed this month. Traffic painting crews have now started the yellow painting of parking spots and the disabled parking markings. And they've also begun the signage review and repair throughout the city, and remind the public that if you see any signs that are in poor state, to report it to 902-432-1268. New speed signs were installed on Duke Street to reinforce the speed limit of 40 kilometers per hour. The heavy rain event that occurred for Hurricane Ida remnants has steady calls on the water and storm drainage issues throughout the city. The rainfall amount was recorded, setting a record in all data, definitely a 1 in a 100 rain event. Driveway culvert repairs have been completed, and the water utility has ordered an additional 50 rain barrels, and we currently have about 25 left in stock. So that's the second batch. Yeah. And with our sampling, there's whether the water samples, chlorination samples, all are within parameters.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any further comments?
Just one comment, or a couple of comments. I do want to pass on condolences to the family of Ivan Pino. You and I attended the funeral. But I also...
Councillor McFeely was there as well.
What's that?
I think Councillor Bryan was there as well.
Yes, Councillor McFeely was there too. I do want to send sincere birthday greetings out to an old friend, George Olscombe, 102 years old, and I believe it's today.
That's amazing.
It's amazing, and he's great, and yes, so, and that, Angus and Rita McCormick are celebrating 60 years today, so congratulations to them.
And I think his birthday is...
And his, also his birthday, I think he's 80-something, 83, yeah.
Yes.
Anyway.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall, and congratulations on Mr. Olskam's 102nd, and Mr. McCormick, his birthday and anniversary. Councillor Campbell, you have a
Yes,
question?
I hate to rain on your parade, but I was coming up McEwen a couple of days ago, and I seen this large cloud of dust, and out of it comes the street sweeper.
It could have been ours.
It must have been.
Yeah, last time I seen him, it was working great.
If it's raining, it's awesome.
Next.
Okay.
Great when it's raining.
Councillor Campbell, you have electrical report? Yes, I do. Your floor is yours, sir. Get you turn the light on so I can...
Can I just mention one thing, Councillor Campbell, before you start, just on municipal services? I just wanted to give a shout out to staff because a resident in my area was just curious about the chlorine levels and so on in their water, and Greg and staff were great to get the reports from the area that she was wondering about, and gave her all the readings and samples and so on. So that was good. And as well, just a reminder about, I think we had online the flushing that's going to be taking place, and yeah, so just if you have issues with that, I think they said just let it run or whatever.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell, how are the windmills producing?
We had such
lots
a
of
large
electricity?
report, Your Honor, I've scaled it back a little bit. People can check on the report on our website. But firstly, the city wants a power outage occurred September 19th, 2021, allowing for much maintenance to be conducted to the infrastructure. Summerside would like to thank its customers for their understanding as the utility works to make the system more reliable in the future. There are no more planned outages for this season anyway. Electricity from our wind was 27.2. Generator run hours were 8.7. 20 new electric customers. We mostly go around a dozen or so that's an improvement. Energized, they were energized this month. 5 electrical service upgrades, 9 new poles were installed and 8 removed. 38 service calls were responded to this month, and 25 streetlights were installed this month. And that, Your Worship, is my report.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Any questions for the Chair of Electrical?
Just a note to Councillor Drawn there, we're going to update when we go on power outages and so that we have a list of people that are on oxygen to be informed and stuff like that. So we're going to see if we can't get that out in our website and things like that now, and renew it and vamp it up.
That's a good point.
I might just respond to that if I have,
Go ahead,
if I
Councillor
can.
Ramsay.
I think our fire service chief, our fire chief has a list, Greg, so just, and I know that Justin probably knows that, but that's something we've been kind of talking about in our emergency plan, is who is on,
It's
you know.
just available, it's how to contact us.
Exactly, and
Some
I,
people don't have the website.
I know, and I think Chief Ron does have that information, just if, I'm sure you're aware of that, Justin,
We'll look.
that he does have that. Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell, for that report. And we'll move on to Tech Services. Councillor Duran, the floor is yours, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Your Worship, and I can't help but notice the Tech Services keeps dropping down in the agenda. It used to be second, and now it's, no, there's a hidden message there, but it's not last either.
I think Mr. Harlech arranges where we go.
This is the time in the meeting where we usually need like a jolt or something, so maybe that's why, I don't know. But I'd just like to thank Aaron McDonald, the Director of Tech Services, for preparing this report tonight, and I'll just go through a few statistics and move things along. The 2021 construction season is still ongoing. The Pope Central project is progressing with the pipe work portion mainly completed, with work proceeding on the road work and curbing sections. I know typically you can't really get up there to see how it's going, but if you are going to the pharmacy, or if you're going to the convenience store or the car dealership, anything up there, they do let you buy, but it is progressing quite nicely. It's got quite a shape coming to it, so.
Justin, am I right in saying that I saw a little thing on Facebook that as of maybe today or tomorrow, they're putting in 4-way stops and people are going to be using those? I just
That was
wanted
as of today, which.
It was today, was it? Okay.
Shouldn't really affect, I don't know how it's gonna work, because it's not really aligned anyway, so.
Right, but just so folks know.
They've been really good up there with directing the way, so. Yeah. Duke Street Storm will be starting shortly after that Pope Road roadwork and curbing sections. Water main replacement on Central Street is nearing completion, and crews have moved to Summer Street at Water Street. The 1 kilometer boardwalk replacement project is continuing along nicely, and they're targeting the end of October for completion on that. The infill project on Waverly Court will have the majority of the work completed by the end of this week. 26 building permits with a value of $5.6 million were issued for the month of August, with a total year-to-date value of $41 million. And within those permits, we issued 6 semi-detached residential units, 6 commercial renovations or change of uses, and we had 5 permits for signs, decks, and accessory buildings, 3 mini homes and 3 single-family homes. We also issued permits for a 4-unit row house as well as 2 8-unit row houses. Those row house permits brings to a completion of a very quick development over on Langell Court, which consisted of 8 semi-detached lots and 2 row house lots. The first permit for these developers went out in October 2020, with the last one now in August 2021, for a total of $6 million in permit value in just a little under 1 year. So developers are still stopping in and speaking to staff for assistance with their proposed projects for the rest of this year, and residents are also encouraged to ask for assistance with their projects that they may have planned for the remainder of this year as well. And that concludes the report for Tech Services.
Thank you, Councillor. Just a couple of, you mentioned $6 million in 1 year. What was that, just before you finish there?
That was for Langell Court.
Oh, the Langell Court, okay.
Yep, they had
Is that part of?
Two 8-unit row houses there just recently. And
Is that including the end of August that you just mentioned?
yeah, the last one is now in August 2021 for a total of $6 million.
And then my final question, I guess, just maybe not 100% sure on it. Is there an approximate date when the roundabout may be finished?
It was originally 21 weeks, and I think it was targeted November sometime. I don't know if that. Now they're aiming for the end of October, so
Okay.
that's about where it was. It was 21 weeks,
Okay.
I think, in April or whenever it started. So, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Any
you.
questions for the chair? If not, we will continue on with the agenda. We're working our way down here. Councillor McFeely, you're back on the floor again.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll be much briefer this time.
No
The,
resolutions.
No resolutions. The Economic Development Report was in the package, so I won't read it in detail, but a couple of highlights, and thank Director Mike Tutuska for preparing it. The first thing I want to talk about is the Venture Center on Greenwood Drive. The office has released an RFP for the sale of the Venture Center on Greenwood Drive. And really the intent of the RFP is really just to gauge if there's any interest out there and what that interest might look like, and have something to bring back to council for consideration and how it wants to move forward with that space. And that will free up some dollars perhaps to go to other areas. The Summerside Business Commons, the department as well this week will be releasing its first RFP for the first building at the Business Commons. I know I've had a lot of comments about that vacant space out there and what's happening there, so this is a big step forward. Again, we have signed lease agreements for over 10,000 square feet of that first building, so we're in good shape to move forward, and of course that would be coming back to council as well, and certainly represents part of our effort to chip away at what is a very, very low vacancy rate for industrial space in the city. So the Summerside Exchange, I think the highlight there is really that the staff have been working with a couple of European-based firms who are looking to get into the North American market and looking very serious at Summerside as the place that they would want to launch their North American presence. So that's a work in progress, and like all these good things, it takes a long time to get it to fruition. So they keep plugging away, and the investment activity, I think, what Director Tutuska would say is that the demands keep coming, and we're at a very, very low vacancy rate in all of our space, whether it's residential, commercial, industrial, or whatever. So keep chipping away at that. There's a couple other projects. The frustrating thing about this particular portfolio is there's things in the wind there that you, because of confidentiality agreements, etc., you can't really talk about too much, but we're very pleased with the progress in a couple of areas, and certainly hopeful that in the near future we'll be able to make some very positive announcements for the city, and hopefully those will come to fruition. And again, it's having the patience to work through these processes. And I too, just in closing, Your Worship, would want to offer condolences to the Pino family. Ivan was, I've known Ivan for many, many years, but most recently until he moved to Andrews, there was a resident of Ward 7. And when I first ran for council, stopped at his place and spent a fair amount of time with him, and it was a real education for me in terms of learning about council from somebody who had been here and had done a very, very good job. As well, I want to certainly acknowledge and offer condolences to Garth Turtle's family.
Oh, yes.
And Garth's passing last week. Garth was all of us knew Garth, I think, was a teacher, administrator, coach, mentor, sportsman. We talked about Koki, we can talk about Garth as well. We've lost two great sport people in the city, and had the opportunity, another person I had the opportunity to work with when we were both in the Department of Education together a number of years ago, and he attended Canada Games with us, and several occasions as a coach or a member of our mission staff. So really want to offer Lynn and Michelle and Christian our heartfelt sympathies in Garth's passing. So thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, and I guess as well, condolences to the Turtle family, but I think, and maybe you can correct me, but I think when you came to work as Recreation Director, Ivan was on council probably at the time, back in the early 70s or in the 70s?
Yeah, Ivan was on council. Norman Gallant was my chairman.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, we miss, both councillors are gone now. Thank you. Any questions for the Chair of Economic Development? I do not see any question or lights on. So, Councillor Ramsey, you have the police and fire report and emergency planning.
I do, and you know, we're always offering our condolences to families, and it's wonderful, and we never like to leave anyone out. And,
Right.
and you know, Allison Smith, who comes to Summerside and does all sorts of volunteer work in our city, time and time again, just for his own free time, and doesn't expect anything for it. Allison lost his mom this week, and so I would like, on behalf of council, to extend our condolences to the Smith family. And and with that, I'm going to go into my reports. And so Emergency Measures Committee continues to work on our emergency plan. At status quo, we just keep going ahead, and I know that Councillor, Deputy Mayor McColeman attended a meeting, I think, last week with the Christian Committee regarding our emergency plan, and so it's just ongoing, and we're always open for conversation with folks on anything that they can help us with or that we can help them with. Any questions on this can be directed to our CAO, Rob Philpott. So that's my emergency measures plan, and I'm going to go right into police services. And before I give my report, I would just like to let everybody know at this time, I'm in contact with Chief Dave, and he's home, recovering, and doing well. I just like to remember him each month as we meet, and wish him all the best from council and our mayor and our staff.
I talked with the chief last night. It's upper with him. He's doing very well.
He's doing very well. He's got a very positive attitude, and yeah, it's a pleasure to talk with him. And so I'll do the report right now, submitted by Acting Chief Sinclair Walker. So it's for August. Members continue to do virtual meetings with the Bridge Program, Criminal Intelligence, PEI, and other provincial organizations. During August, our 4 new part-time officers completed their house recruit training and are now on their own. This will help with the workload during the very busy time of year. Work is continuing on our new license plate recognition system. And I did get a call from CBC regarding this new system that they have set up, but it's just not completed yet. There's some things that they're up against, and so when it is up and running, we'll be letting people know. And a number of members completed online training during the month. During the month of August, SBS members did presentations on bike safety at the Cup. Talks were also done by one of our French-speaking members at the École Saumur on safety to preschool age students. Acting Chief Walker assisted Lieutenant Governor on aide-de-camp during the month. A member continued to volunteer at the College of Piping. 2 officers volunteered at Big Brothers Big Sisters. Acting Deputy Chief Blackhair and Acting Chief Walker had a visit from the Minister of Justice and Public Safety, Blois Thompson, to discuss public safety and policing in general. The following is a list of some occurrences total for August 2021. And calls for service were 631. Traffic accidents were 21. Reported crimes of assault and threats were 28. Theft reports were 41. Impaired driving were 8. Highway Traffic Act charges were 137. Break-in and reports, business and residential, were just 1, and drug enforcement charges were 5. And so any questions on this report, you can contact Acting Chief Walker. Any questions on this?
I do have a question, and it's concerning probably the Highway Traffic Act charges of 137.
Yeah.
Just prior to tonight's meeting, I received an email from concerned citizens on the speeding issue on West Drive and South Drive. There was a child just about got hit at the crosswalk by Greenfield last week. Just got out of the way in time. But I continue to get complaints from West Drive mostly, but South and West. And I would ask if we could get some extra patrols there, and maybe the portable speed dolly put down on West Drive there for a while. So it's an issue all over the city, I know, but that one there seems to be.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. And it is an issue, and maybe, Rob, you could, okay, thank you. But the Highway Traffic Act charges are 137, so it's way up since we did put the new officer in place, and that they, so it's really coming along, and people are realizing that, or some people are realizing, that they're not supposed to be speeding. And anyway, Bruce will look after that for you. Thank you. So that's it. What's that? Oh, okay. So if there's no questions on that, we'll go into fire services.
I do not see any speaker lights on, so the floor is still yours.
Okay. So there were 31 fire calls during August, 3 medical first responder calls, which they are being busy with, 15 alarm panel calls, 2 motor vehicle accidents, fires, and 1 accidental false alarm, a mulch fire, 2 outdoor fire violations, a carbon monoxide call, 4 miscellaneous calls, and 2 cancel calls. Another quiet month for our fire services, knock on wood, says the chief. Firefighters participate for a total of 88 hours in training this month. With the summer winding down, Summerside Fire is ramping up for a busy fall training season. And 10-year veteran Chad Pratt has announced his retirement from the fire service. And they would like to thank Chad, and we would like to thank Chad for his years of service and his contribution to the department. Respectively, Ken Culleton. So that's the fire service report. Unless we have any questions, that's it.
Thank you, Councillor Ramsey,
that,
for your
Bruce?
report.
Pretty darn good.
Councillor Adams.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make a comment. It would be electrical as well as police and firefighters during the electrical storm we had a few weeks back there. They had to respond to, there was a house out in our subdivision that was hit by lightning, and there was 2 different transformers blew as well. So it was quite a, not to forgive the pun, a shock to everybody. It was quite a bang, and their response time, and they were really good with some kids that got a good fright in their houses and so on. So just to all of them, and also there was EMS had to come out and check on everybody. So they were great. They're very professional, and they followed up a couple days later with the kids and so on. So it was very much appreciated.
Isn't that nice? Thanks, Carrie. Thanks, Councillor.
Councillor or Deputy Mayor McColman.
I just wanted to mention, or if you could mention it, Councillor Barb, about Sunday, this coming Sunday, September 26th, the Police and Peace Officers National Memorial. I know you're going.
Yes, I am, and that's
Mayor
at Trinity.
Basil, yeah.
It's at Trinity United Church at
2
2 o'clock,
2
yes. Yeah, Sunday coming at 2
Moving
o'clock,
around the aisle
Trinity
different
United
years.
Church.
This year is Summerside's turn.
Summerside, yeah. Thank you, Councillor.
We'll have to
McCollum.
follow the guidelines for the numbers.
I think, yeah, they have a list and have to register, I guess.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
for that reminder.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we're moving right along here. I believe we're getting close to the end of the agenda. Councillor Snow, how are things in community services? Well, we know they're busy.
They're always busy in community services. I'd like to start by just thanking JP who compiled the report. I'll just touch on it. The full report's in online, but I'll just touch on some of the highlights. The month of August, as most of them was very busy. Some of the highlights from August, we had the Lanarkade motorcycle that finished up, which included the Fabulously Rich tribute band for the Tragically Hip down at Green Shore, also the Bikers Breakfast and the Bridge Run, which is always famous, or very popular amongst the people that attend the motorcycle rally. And then after that, we had the Tri-Lobster Triathlon. It took place on the Summerside waterfront. Over 70 athletes took part in that, and it's a Canadian sanctioned triathlon event. Ball fields were extremely busy in August. We've seen U14 Eastern Canadian Softball Championships, U12 Eastern Canadian Softball Championships, both taking place. They featured 10 teams from around Atlantic Canada. We also seen the 16U Girls Atlantic Baseball Championships, and then hosted several provincial events. Also, of course, our junior ball team here in Summerside, they played off in the finals against Charlottetown. They came up just a little bit short. Earlier tonight, we had the Grady family in, and the Island Championship trophies named after Coke Grady. And I was there for the championship game that night. It was great, a great amount of people there in attendance, and it's great to see such a good man honored with the tribute of the trophy being named after him. Also, the growing popularity around the sport of cricket continued in August with a second maritime tournament in the cricket pitch at Three Oaks. 130 athletes from PEI, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia took part in a two-day tournament. It featured 10 teams, so that's the second time we hosted a maritime tournament this summer. So, Tenacity Hockey's it was up and running as well. It had 3 weeks of hockey camps in the ice pad with over 300 hockey kids, and they got the chance to skate with NHLers like Noah Dobson, Dion Phaneuf, David Ling, Jordan Spence, and Justin Ertl. Also, the Stanley Cup visited Summerside. Ward 4 resident Grant Saunier took the cup to Credit Union Place and seen over 600 people to get the opportunity to come in and take a picture with the Stanley Cup. I was one of them. I was very excited to get your picture with the Stanley Cup. I got a feeling with all the local people we have here from Summerside that's in the NHL and doing quite well, it won't be the last time that we'll see that Stanley Cup here in Summerside.
Even the coaching staff as well as players.
Yes, there's many involved. So the bowling lanes and the aquatic center saw 17 total themed birthday parties in the month of August, while the Veterans Convention Center saw a total of 43 bookings. That's the monthly report. And the only other thing I'd like to add is we're now about 8:45. The polls have closed. I'd just like to wish everybody to put their name forward here in Egmont and across the province, and Canada for that matter, the best of luck as we start getting the results. I know I'm anxious to go home and see what happens, but just as we all know, putting your name forward and the effort that goes into it is not easy. So anybody that decides to put their name forward on a ballot, best of luck tonight, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Any question, Councillor Campbell?
I'd just like to let the people know that I wasn't the Gregory Campbell on the Stanley Cup for the Boston Bruins. Another one.
He had 90.
Well, you came close. He went to their camps one time, so he, at least maybe you got a crack at it. Pretty good goaltender in his day, you know.
I scored on him. If I can score on him, anybody can.
Oh, okay. It's like we said earlier about Coke Grady. If you were coming up now in the minor hockey system, you'd probably be drafted. Anyway, I'm trying to see who's like to on here first. Carrie, Councillor Adams.
I just wanted to follow up on some things with community services. During, I should mention this, during the HR component, Adam Blackier has moved into the position of facilities manager at the CUP from Municipal Services. So congratulations to Adam. He's been a city employee with us for quite a while. Also, and I mentioned this online, but I wanted to give a big shout out to Paul, Dave, and Ernest, who work at the fields over at Queen Elizabeth Park. We went through a heck of a weekend trying to get the U13 AAA provincials in. It was that rainy, horrible weekend. Most ground crews would have given up the first day, but they got us through to the third day, and we had a few games to finish midweek. But they were great. They never, they never gave up and said, no, we're not working through it. They kept the fields in amazing shape. And the last thing I wanted to mention was, we all know we had, for our Summerside Baseball Chevys, we had a number of provincial winners over the past month, but this past weekend was the Atlantics, and we had the 15U AAA Chevys gold, and the 15U AA and the 13U AA brought home silver for Atlantics. So they're all to be commended. Am I forgetting anybody? I think I got them, but I'm not sure, and if I apologize. The list is on Summerside Baseball. Also, last night was the New Brunswick Senior Baseball League. PI Islanders won. And there's some Chevy alumni playing and coaching on that team, so big shout out to them too. So.
Thank you for that, Carrie. To Councillor Adams' point, the ball fields are the best ball fields around. I truly believe that. They do a great job maintaining it, and second to that, our baseball and our softball programs here in Summerside are second to none. So it's a big shout out to all of them.
We've heard that comment many times from across the country.
Yeah.
Teams coming in here to play, the good shape the ball fields are in and how the staff handle them. Okay, we've got 3 other lights on.
I
Councillor
think,
Ramsay.
and mine's just really quick, and I'm not sure if it's the Councillor Snow or Deputy Mayor McColman, but I think there is a car show coming up on downtown on Friday. Is it Friday night coming?
Downtown Summerside are hosting.
Robert Galant and Classic Cars.
Right, the
Just giving a
classic
little
cars.
teaser.
And I just wanted to, I knew, I was talking with Angie, and I just wanted to just give a little shout out for that it's happening if people are looking for something to do, because it's quite a gathering. Yeah,
Friday night coming.
all those old cars, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, the next light, I believe, is
Okay, mine's very quick as well. I know the city has great staff, but I especially want to give a real shout out to the staff members that were on the boardwalk area today, cutting grass with the whippersnipper. I really noticed that when people would come to that area and be walking, they'd shut their equipment off, let people go by, and like just very, very, very polite with people. And also along that boardwalk, I've had a chance just to kind of chat with different visitors, and they just love the boardwalk. They can't believe, just being so close to the waterfront, and just recognize how beautiful it is. So sometimes I think we hear negative things, but sometimes we've got to remember we've got a pretty fine place.
Thank you. Last night I was walking, and there was a couple from Montreal stopped me to have a chat, and they said exactly the same thing, how beautiful it is there. Councillor McFeely.
Just very, very quickly, just an accolade to the department, Councillor Snow, for their work with newcomers, and particularly, I see at the beach volleyball there, numerous newcomers there participating on a regular basis. And I took the opportunity a couple of times this summer to stop in and watch some of the cricket, and just a fabulous sport if people take the time to learn it, and the enthusiasm there, and I know your department has worked with the Cricket Association to kind of make some of that stuff happen, so thank you. It really is a great sport.
Most definitely. Our department does a great job in finding new niches and new events, and on that, along with cricket, this coming weekend, there is a pickleball tournament from around the Maritimes as well. And it's a thing that we decided to invest some money in the last year, and it's already showing paying dividends here now, because we have people coming from around the Maritimes to come play pickleball this weekend in a tournament. So our hotels and restaurants will see that added boost, and that's always great.
Make sure they know about Classic Car Night. Invite them.
Yeah, I've been in contact with the people that are coordinating the pickleball, so I'll make sure they remind all their people for sure. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Deputy Mayor. So on this side we have Councillor McDougall.
Yeah, just a comment on the boardwalk. I was down this morning, I was talking to the workers that are working on the new piece. They're waiting for lumber for the bridge, and they're working on the lookout. It's being rebuilt now, so They're getting along well, and they just, they need lumber, but other than that, it's gonna be great. It's, I went out by the Ocean View Resort earlier in the weekend and went down by the, where it's finished, and it's great. It's gonna be a beautiful boardwalk.
Thank you, yeah. And speaking of the boardwalk, some up here now, but when I was on it there last night, the tide was way out, and I commend Rogerson's, but the sand was just beautiful, smooth and clean, and they added sand there this fall, or late summer, and it really made a difference. Councillor Snow, do you have anything further?
I have nothing further, your worship, if that's all.
Okay, we'll have a motion to adjourn, and then we'll have to take a second here to get connected from YouTube. Moved by Councillor McDougall and seconded by Councillor McFeely. All in favour? Aye. Contrary nay? Carried. The meeting is now adjourned, and Brian will give us a